Have you ever gotten in a conversation and you get too far along and you're like, God, I should not be telling this person this much information about this?
Yeah. I don't know why, but this happens usually with people that I respect. People that I want to like me. I run my mouth and I'm like, God, they don't care. Shut up, Jeremy.
I think
and then I'm trying to get out of it without sounding like making it awkward.
You respect the people, and you want, by nature, if you respect somebody, you want to have their respect too. So you try extra hard to get their respect by coming across and giving as much information as you possibly can. But the problem with that is too much information is too much information. This happened in
TMI is TMI.
Toronto, and we just become this society. And this is like, it seems like it's an ongoing theme, whether it be the kids and how they act in school towards one another. We talked about that last week with the school shooting. If somebody would have just told this kid, quit being weird somewhere along the line, then maybe he wouldn't have gone back to the school and shot 17
well, I just
people.
think, especially in this circumstance, the way he went on social media, he was just looking for attention forever, right. And he wasn't getting
somebody
it.
would have given him that attention somewhere along the line.
And we're not psychologists, but I mean, I think that's pretty easy to kind of figure out. I mean, yeah. So
and then yesterday with the service animal, we took a bunch of calls from people saying that, hey, you shouldn't be so hard on people with service animals. They have anxiety. And it's like, yeah, they have anxiety if they legitimately need the service animals, but they're not cheating the system.
This country's become way too soft. And I mean, it's you can't, we were talking about
this country, but I think it's society.
But we've really been talking about this last couple weeks. Yeah, society. It's just become way too soft. Everybody's offended all the time.
This is out of Canada, so this is a different country altogether. But
they got to be the most offended people, right? They just seem soft to me.
They do seem soft.
Sorry, Canada.
This is the way
I love Canadians. Canadians. They're nice people.
I think the reason why they seem soft is because the other night after the United States beat their ass in a shootout.
Knock, knock, who's there? Yeah. Gold medal in the face. That's who's there.
Gold medal in the face. They all were crying on the bench.
Knock, knock, who's there? Gold medal in the face. That's who's there.
That's why they seem soft. But this is the Canadian TV station covering this story in which a Toronto police officer told a group of teens that smoking marijuana is probably not the best thing to do if you want to be manly.
A York Regional police officer's comments on marijuana to a group of high school students here in Aurora has some health officials and pot activists looking to clear the air tonight. This after an officer allegedly told a group of teens that smoking marijuana lowers testosterone and, quote, doobies make boobies. An officer allegedly making the doobies make boobies comment during the Catholic School Board's annual Drug Awareness Power conference last Thursday.
What is wrong with that statement?
I've heard that statement for decades.
What does the police officer, what did he do wrong there? Now he's got the marijuana coalition after him. He's got the school board after him. He's got the private Catholic school, the TV stations after him.
These were underage kids that shouldn't have had marijuana in the first place, right?
Yes, these trying to tell them. And so what do they have to do?
York Regional Police tweeting today, we're no health experts, but we're pretty sure getting high does not cause enhanced mammary growth in men. We are aware of the misinformation about cannabis that was unfortunately provided to the community by our officers. We're working to address it.
So now
this world is too soft, man.
You take somebody in a position of respect that has made these comments to these kids, and now you're calling him a liar. In many cases, that is not a lie. I think I know, everybody who knows somebody who smokes tons of marijuana that's a male knows somebody who has developed man boobs as a result of that.
Well,
okay?
I don't know if that. I mean, I don't know if that's true or not. I know people that smoke a lot of marijuana that are in actually physical great shape, but that's because the job they do is a physical job, and they stay thin and they stay toned up in shape. I also know people that don't smoke marijuana who have huge man titties. I mean, big ones.
Is it an unfair stereotype to?
But that's kind of not the point. The point is, this is a police officer telling kids, hey, don't do drugs. They're bad. And you know what? When you're a kid,
the big message.
You shouldn't do any drug. I don't care how far cannabis has come, and I know that it's going to help us medically in a responsible and in the right situation, all right? He's just telling his kids not to smoke weed. Don't drink. What if you said drinking lowers testosterone and your balls are going to fall off? I mean, what are they going to? They're going to arrest him for that or get after him for that?
Like whatever happened to the period of time when we're like, hey, okay, let's not our youth, our kids. Let's make sure that they don't do drugs, okay? Not like, let's make sure that we're passing along actual scientific evidence that it does not give men breasts. You're pulling out all stops. You're pulling, pardon the pun, Canada, but you're pulling the goalie in the fight against drugs.
Knock, knock, who's there? Gold medal in the face. That's who's there.
And we applaud you for pulling the goalie in the fight against drugs.
The big conversation here is how soft everyone has gotten in 2018 in this day and age. It's like, wait, we have a police officer telling kids not to use drugs, and you're going to get after him because the method he chose to do it was to tell them they might get man boobs? I mean, come on! What's the message here? All right, what's important? It's just so ridiculous.
So now, what does this do for any police officer that's supposed to drive home a positive message? Well, you're going to have to check with my super on that.
Well, hold on.
Hold on. I have to pull up a scientific
right next
study.
to the Miranda rights, they pull out a piece of paper and it says, let me flip it to the right page.
I'm going to have to call the Marijuana Coalition and do a double check on that.
Don't do marijuana because it can be addicting. I don't know.
I mean, it's just so strange to me that we're like so jumping up everybody's ass about everything anymore. It's like, ease up. Okay?
Bam!
This is a police officer that made a statement on clearly what was based on opinion.
And the message was kids don't do drugs. That was the message.
So why are we overlooking that?
Yeah.
Why are we overlooking that?
Good way to start the Friday. We're all fired up now, baby. Coming up on the program today, we're giving away tickets to go to the March Meet. Your final shot to do that. Famoso Raceway, 8:05. Make sure you're with us. We'll also have tickets to go to the Slow Comedy Festival. Kicked off last night in Avila Beach and San Luis Obispo. They've got more shows tonight. Slow Atascadero. We'll get into that a little bit and give away some tickets to go to Only the Nasty Survive. This one's rated R for sensitive, soft people. Should not go to this. All right? Just because you never know what's going to come up.
If there's a mention of moobs and marijuana, oh my gosh.
The one thing I love about this radio station in general on the Central Coast is, adults listen to this radio station, not a bunch of softies.
People see through the BS.
Yes.
People say, and we love you for it. Thank you. Thank you for seeing through the BS of society.
Let's get to another way that we'd probably offend other people if this was a different radio station, because we're going to call somebody a dumbass.
Uh-oh. Don't do that. That's very mean. It's bullying in nature.
How pathetic can some people be?
Asian girls are going out with, like, white guys, black guys. Everybody but Asian guys. What's going to happen to Asian guys? They're going to go extinct or something? I feel bad. I feel bad they're all single, but, not bad enough to date them. Last week, this Asian guy asked me out, and I was just like, geez, when are they going to realize that Asian girls are just way out of their league? And my girlfriends, they're always asking me, they're like, how do you stay so skinny? And I always tell them, just do what we do, eat with chopsticks. Because we can't pick much up with those things either. Actually, I don't even know how to use chopsticks. I'm completely American. I was born here. I mean, I'm so American, I'm against immigration. Because I'm here already. And I ordered Chinese yesterday, and a Mexican guy delivered it. I was like, what is going on here? This is crazy. They're taking all of our jobs.
Dumbass of the day. 93.3 KZOC.
Okay, so back in the 90s, I guess this started catching some steam, and it has become a popular move in China. At the funeral, okay?
So this is like not a tradition, but this is something that happens.
It's not a tradition because you're talking about a civilization that is steeped in tradition. I mean, it goes back to
this is something that is common at funerals in China?
It is somewhat common.
Okay.
Enough to where the government feels the need to step in and do something about it. Some people in China back in the 90s started hiring strippers to appear and perform at the funeral. And it's still happening today. There's a Ministry of Culture that works for the government over there, and the Ministry of Culture says that this is not a practice that we want anymore. So they're going to start cracking it down on the practice.
I'm just trying to understand at what point in the funeral this happens.
I don't know. Like, what is
this at the end, the beginning? Is this like the opening act?
I don't. God,
before the urn comes out.
If you've ever been to a Chinese stripper funeral, please give us a call. Because we have 1,000 questions.
How many strippers? Is it okay? Is too many? Is there, you got to have more than two? Because, two's awkward? I don't know.
This is the Ministry of Culture has gone after these striptease artists and obscene and vulgar performances at funerals in the past. So they've spent the last 20 years or so.
What is acceptable dance moves from a stripper wearing a thong? No grabbing your ankles, honey. All right, that is too far. All right.
Do you employ that? There was in Seattle at the strip clubs. They had this silly rule. It was like a 5-foot rule or something like that, or a 3-foot rule where the strippers could not come within 3 feet of making contact.
What about how do they do couch dances?
They would do them, but you would
3 feet away.
They'd have to be 3 feet.
Oh gosh!
Which, if you're farsighted, it sucked. Like, you just stopped going to the strip club.
Nearsighted.
Oh, nearsighted. I'm sorry. I always get them confused.
I'm a nearsighted individual, so that would not work for me. I'd have to make sure my glasses were with me. Hold on. Let me get my glasses on. Okay, I can see you now. Okay. Go ahead.
Continue. I don't know. Maybe they start employing some of those laws.
There's a 10-foot rule.
Yeah, the rule in Seattle was dumb. Everybody made fun of it.
This is dumb. Strippers at funerals. Yes. Dancing on caskets. So ridiculous.
Now, the Ministry of Culture over there has set up a special hotline because their attempts to thwart strippers at funerals in the past they've failed. So now they have a hotline so the public can report on funeral misdeeds, and they are going to start paying narcs to call this hotline if there is a stripper at a funeral, and the authorities can crack down on it and get those strippers out of the funeral.
This is just so weird. I just feel like this is like some guy, hell, when I go, I want strippers at my funeral. Let's have a big party.
It's in
Jack
China.
Daniels and strippers.
Okay, it's in China, not Tennessee.
No, I'm just saying, this sounds like something I've heard from some old guy that was like, hell, I want to go out with a bang.
Like, this is a Florida funeral, right? This is not a Chinese funeral.
This is a Florida, like middle Florida.
Yeah.
What is that, Melbourne?
Yeah, Tampa through and through. I mean, this is something you'd be like, oh yeah, we do strippers for your funeral. We'll do anything you want. Come on down here, get buried down here at the funeral emporium.
I always thought they were very conservative there in their beliefs.
That's what's weird about it.
That's why the guys would have to sneak off to these, dark alley strip clubs.
No, they would sneak off to funerals. Where you going, honey? I'm going to a funeral. George died last week. See you later.
Go. Well, you don't want me to go with you? No.
He's a coworker. Didn't mean that much to me.
You keep the Szechuan chicken going. Okay?
I do need to pay the respects.
Wow. That is so freaking
weird.
I'm trying to think.
Weird.
I think I would enjoy. I think it would be good though.
It would be.
I think if I walked in and there was strippers there, I'd be like, "Damn, this is the coolest funeral I've ever been to."
What the hell is going on here?
This is crazy. I'd be like, "Wait a second, I don't want to smile. You shouldn't smile at a funeral. Somebody died, but I'm having to go. I got a permagrin on my face. Wow, you're like the one on the right.
This is weird. This is a funeral, but I'm going to stick around and see what happens.
The Chinese.
You feel good now.
That's why they're so good at the figure skating. It's all the dancing.
Yeah, they're dancing at funerals with no clothes on. Congratulations to, I guess Chinese culture for allowing for the strangest, most bizarre funeral thing, I guess, for lack of a better term, that we've ever heard of.
I don't know. Maybe we need more stripper funerals.
Yeah, maybe we need to be more open to the stripper funeral. We started asking people what is the weirdest cultural difference that they've ran across when traveling to another country. I've never traveled anywhere exotic, but Nancy writes about, reminds me of Mexico and my first time to Mexico, and I was like, whoa, This is a different country. And that was, she was saying in Rome, she went to Italy, and in Rome at the government building, there's armed guards and soldiers standing out in front with automatic rifles.
Yeah.
And you've been to Mexico and you've seen the guys riding around in the back of the trucks with the rifles.
In Mazatlan in the 90s, I haven't seen that since the 90s.
Well, you go to Cabo now, and I think Cabo is far enough away from everything. I've seen it as recently as the last 5-6 years in Cozumel, which is an island on its own own thing. So like, if you do something bad there, it's very easy to track you down, because what are you going to do, swim to the mainland? But I remember seeing the guys in the back, the federales they call them, in the back of the truck with these guns.
With machine guns.
With machine guns mounted to the back of the truck, and they're sitting in a chair just
cruising.
It was a bit menacing, and I was like, whoa, okay.
How about the kids? I'm like 5-6 years old. Sometimes your daughter's 4, right? Mm-hmm. Like as young as your daughter, selling little chiclets and little candies, and they're just like, chicle, and they walk around, and you're like, oh my God. And
that's
they're doing it
difference.
Because they know we're going to see these cute little kids.
Feel bad for them.
We're going to buy something.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like the person that sits outside with their entire family, sits outside like a Home Depot on a Saturday, with their entire family saying anything will help. You feel like giving to those people, don't you? I mean,
no,
I know you don't, but I feel
bad for the kids that they're being forced to sit out there as bait.
Yeah. So we're asking about the cultural differences you've encountered in other countries. Scott, I guess, is he didn't say the country. But he says that the used toilet paper in the trash cans next to the toilets is something that I can never get over. And I've heard of people traveling to other countries where they're not allowed to flush the toilet paper, and that they do have a collection thing off to the side that you put your toilet paper in. That's grotesque.
I think these are like Middle Eastern countries.
That is grotesque.
India and... they don't flush because their sewer system's so bad.
He says
I was talking to somebody about that. I'm like, wow, that's something else.
He says it's no different than when he goes to the Napomo swap meets on the weekends. So.
You can weigh in as well. 543-3693. Call or text on that line. It's brought to you by our friends at 805 Beer. Also, this is going on the social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, and we're also on Instagram at Jeff and Jeremy.
Good morning.
Jeff and Jeremy in the morning on 93.3 KZOZ.